This
Everyone,
conference will now be recorded.
Ocean Ridge, October 2023. Kelly, take the roll, please.
Sure will. Commissioner Cleo?
Here.
Commissioner Vessler?
Here.
Vice Mayor Cos?
Here.
Commissioner Cassidy?
Here.
And Mayor Pugh.
Here. All right, could you stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, you see the agenda before you. Are there any additions, deletions, modifications to the agenda?
Two, Mr. Mayor. On the presentations, our Representative Casello is running late, so we can start with the others, and then when he gets here, we can have him do his presentation.
Okay.
And then on item number 14, I handed out to you the application for the Senate appropriation, legislative appropriation application. In your packet is the one for the House of Representatives. I would like you to review them both and hopefully approve them tonight for submission.
All right, approval.
I have two quick announcements when we get to that. And if there's time at the end, I can give just a brief summary of the grant applications that we have.
Do you want to do that at the very end, or you want to do that on the announcements?
I can do the grants at the very end,
Okay, so grants.
but I have two other quick announcements.
Anybody else? All right, may I make a motion?
So moved.
Second,
Okay, motion second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. All right, presentations and proclamations. You want to start with Employee of the Quarter?
I will, Mr. Mayor. Ms. Hammond is not here right now. I believe she's probably over working in dispatch. This quarter, our Employee Recognition Committee met, wanting to recognize employees that go above and beyond, and considered the nominations. This year, this quarter, the committee met and voted to select dispatcher Courtney Hammond as the Employee of the Quarter. Courtney has stepped up to the plate by covering vacancies in dispatch while continuing to run a full house at home with two small children. Courtney not only has been there when needed in the third quarter, but is there anytime her manager has asked for her assistance. She always gets the job done, and she does it without hesitation and promptly. Her manager, Jessica Simpson, says of Courtney, "She assists me more than she may realize, and for that, I'm thankful for her hard work and dedication." Our thanks go out to Courtney for being a team player, and we're proud of her being part of our essential team.
All right, thank you, Courtney. What if you can hear me? Chief, how long has Courtney been with us?
I think 10 plus years.
10 plus years.
wow.
All righty, so we have
Joe's here.
Joe's here, so
Yep.
go ahead, Carolyn.
Okay.
Take it away.
I am pleased to introduce you to our state representative, Joe Casello, who is here with us tonight. I met Joe last spring after hearing about, what happens in Tallahassee with the legislature and the Senate, and most importantly, the preemptive bills that the state passes. And we got to talking about that, and I thought, well, I think we need to be a little bit more proactive in learning what's in the pipeline before it's voted on in March. So Joe previously served on the Boynton Beach Commission from 2013 to 2018. He was elected to the House of Representatives in 2018, and he'll be running for his fourth two-year term next year. He's originally from Worcester, Mass., a neighbor of where I grew up, and had a long career as a firefighter, an electrical contractor, and a member of the U.S. Air Force. He's served on the board of directors of the Palm Beach County League of Cities and is currently on the board of trustees of JFK Hospital. So welcome. Thank you for coming.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Commissioner Cassidy, for the invite, and the city manager. I know we had a little discussion about a month or so ago, and it was good. Introduce myself. Like I said, I'm Joe Casello. I'm the state representative who represents Ocean Ridge. And glad to be here. I really am. It's always nice to put a name with a face, or a face with a name, if you will, as I represent this district. You know, coming from local government myself, I was on the city commission in Boynton Beach for 6 years before I got elected to the State House. So I know how important it is, the decisions you make up there in this dais for this community. It doesn't matter if you're a large municipality or a small one like Ocean. We still have basically the same issues and problems. We share those. And I can tell you, as a state representative, I took that enthusiasm I had with me as you sit here and get things done and accomplished. I took that enthusiasm with me up to Tallahassee. It was quickly realized that it doesn't work like that up there at the State House as it does here in local governments. But one of my main concerns up there, being in Tallahassee, coming from local government, is that the decisions we're making up there that affects you down here on the local government, they're slowly dismantling local rule. They really are, which is a scary thought in itself for your community. And there's no stopping it right now. I get up there and pontificate that the importance of having the individuals who are closest to the people represent the people. They don't seem to, they're not buying it for whatever reason. So let's put it that way, very simply. Last session, most of you read about it. It was a pretty contentious session with a lot of what they call red meat, woke issues. You can go on and on. It doesn't matter what side of the aisle you sit on. I think it affects us all. This session coming up is that we're talking about not so controversial, because it's an election year. And every time there's an election cycle coming up, we seem to take a step back and become very nice to each other. So hopefully that transpires into getting something done. I know it's on everybody's mind here, and it is mine, and most of the calls that I get into my office are obviously insurance issues, property insurance. You being a oceanfront community here, I can only imagine what the issues are down here on that subject. We had 2 special sessions last cycle, and we accomplished nothing. Nothing. And that's the frustrating part. There is nothing that's on the table right now. When we go back up there, we start committee weeks. We usually go up there for about 8 weeks before session starts. Session starts late this year, early in January. Most of the stuff gets done, most of the issues get solved or filed in those committee weeks. We're going up there October, and hopefully that we can have this, you know, a real legitimate in-depth conversation on insurance. I can tell you the calls that come into my office. I have my legislative aide back here, if I might introduce him. That's Troy Grass. Troy is, he runs the office, let's put it simple. Let's make it simple. He files my appropriations, he files my bills, and such. So getting back to the insurance issue, we've got to come up with it. I get hundreds of calls in a matter of weeks, all on the insurance. People actually crying that they're going to lose their homes. They can't afford the insurance premiums that they're paying. In some cases, the insurance has doubled in most cases, and they have no means to make up for that income. So it's a real problem. We've got to start talking real talk up there instead of, you know, bashing each other for silly things that I consider silly anyway. We're up here to represent all of you. And, you know, when you call my office, I don't ask you, are you Republican, are you Democrat? It doesn't matter. I got elected to serve all Floridians, and I take great pleasure in that. My career as a firefighter, that's what I did. When I went to a burning home, or, you know, I never asked them, what part are you from? We just did the job. We get the job done. So it's a pleasure. It's an honor to serve at the State House. I really do believe that. I'm humbled by it. I appreciate for those who vote, not just for me, but get out there and vote. I think that's very important. In just closing, Mayor, I just like to say that my office is always open, and Commissioner Cassidy approached us, and I think we helped along with an appropriation request, and that's what we do. That's exactly what we do. We help the communities. If you got issues or appropriations that you want to put forward, the state has a lot of money. It's just a matter of getting it onto the governor's desk. And that's what we do. We're a conduit between you and the governor. to get those things done. And you've been up to the office, manager, and we're there. We're open 24/7, you know, we take your calls. So in closing, I'd just like to say again, thank you. Please, thank you. Being a first responder for my over 30 years as a firefighter, I respect first responders. That is my little niche, I would say, up there in Tallahassee, is passing bills and policy up there to help our first responders. How important this is to our communities. So once again, thank you. My office is open. You all probably have my number, I hope. It doesn't matter what the issue is. Even if you just want to bounce something off or you have a question, it doesn't necessarily mean you want to file something, but you have a question, or why aren't we doing this, or how come this is not getting done, and how it affects your community here. It's, once again, it's humble to serve you, and I thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions? Come on.
I grew up in Grafton, by the way,
Oh, wow, I get cousins, wow, yeah.
right next to Worcester. If the small towns like ours, what is the most beneficial thing they can do when they're going after these appropriations?
Well, we had explained how the appropriation system works. It's that if you have matching funds, like, I forget the name of the project that we were doing, but if you have some money put aside to help that project, whatever that may be, you know, it always helps. It looks good on the application when you put it and say, look, you have some skin in the game, and, you know, we're willing to put X amount of dollars into this project because we believe in it, and then we go there with the appropriation request. Once again, when you're filing for appropriations, you know, you don't get greedy. You stay within the parameters of what the actual cost might be. Let's say, you know, you ask for 100,000, and, you know, if you get 75,000, that's, you know, that helps the community. So it's things like that. And as far as appropriations go, they're big on water projects.
It's the Water Belt project
Yeah.
that he's helping us with.
Yeah.
The one we're going to be voting on.
Yeah,
And-
and so it's those kind of projects that have a real big, they're more receptive to those type of projects, those water projects. So once you get that voted on and everything like that, we will be up there advocating for this, for your community.
Thank
and
you.
We'll keep the city manager in the loop, and Commissioner Cassidy, we have like a little relationship now as far as communication lines, so we're comfortable with that.
Thanks.
But like I say, it can be anything from insurance, water projects, appropriations. I think we help guide you through the appropriation request. So now once you get it done, you know, don't be afraid to file. You know, they say no a lot, but sometimes they do say yes. So.
He also wrote a letter of support for us for one of our grant applications,
Yeah.
Resilient Florida Grant. And
Yeah,
I should have introduced Troy myself because he's the guy that answers the phones and helps with everything. So thank you, Troy.
yeah. You know, we go up there to Tallahassee, and it was for our legislative aides that work for us. We probably wouldn't be as successful as we are. So we're very grateful for that. And I'm grateful for you people for what you do here on a local level. I miss it. I really do. I went up to Tallahassee, like I say, with big ideas and promises and enthusiasm. It's not like that up there at the local level. So we're going to try to keep that local rule as much as we can into effect. So let you people, you know, decide for your voters.
Thank you very
Okay.
much.
Thank you very much.
All right, let's move on to the Florida City Government Proclamation. Kelly?
We've got the Florida City Government Week of October 16th through the 22nd. Whereas city government is the government closest to most citizens and the one with the most direct daily impact upon its residents. And whereas municipal government provides services and programs that enhance the quality of life for residents, making their city their home. And whereas the city government is administered for and by its citizens, it's dependent upon public commitment to understanding of its many responsibilities. And whereas city government officials and employees share the responsibility to pass along the understanding of public services and their benefits. And whereas Florida City Government Week offers an important opportunity for elected officials and city staff to spread the word to all citizens of Florida that they can shape and influence this branch of government. And whereas the Florida League of Cities and its member cities have joined together to teach citizens municipal government through a variety of activities. Now therefore, I, Jeff Pugh, as mayor, and on behalf of the other commissioners, do encourage all citizens, city government officials, and employees to participate in events that recognize and celebrate Florida City Government Week. The Town of Ocean Ridge encourages educational partnerships between city government and schools, as well as civic groups and other organizations.
Thank you. All right, Chief, I'm gonna have you take away the next two.
Yes. Yes, Bethune. I'd like to introduce everybody to New Sergeant Aaron Chauvin, new Sergeant Michael Parkinson, and the new officer Russell Lynch.
Roll.
Sergeant Mike Parkinson here began his career with the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Department in 1992. He worked for 8 years, and he said he worked in the detention center where he said some of you might. In 2000, he accepted a law enforcement position with the Seminole Tribe of Florida, where he worked 6 years in narcotics, criminal investigations, and the FBI Violent Crimes Task Force for 10 years. Then in 2017, he went to Las Vegas and worked for the National Nuclear Security Administrative Protective Force, otherwise known as Area 51. So if you don't ask him a question,
They're not real. They're not real.
In 2018, he returned to Florida, and here he is now. And Mike's been a great officer here. And next we have Sergeant Aaron Chauvin. He's homegrown here in Ocean Ridge. He started in 2018, became a detective in 2020, where he's done an excellent job. And he made his ways, before he got to the police department, through the kitchens of Palm Beach County as a chef. So when it comes to hurricane, we have to stay here. You're a chef. We have new officer Russell Lynch. He was a police officer in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, 2 years. Then he went to the United States Marine Corps, where he did 4 years. Then he became a federal U.S. Mint officer in D.C. for 3.5 years. And we welcome him here to Ocean Ridge.
Welcome. Congratulations.
I was wondering about the glow around you.
All right. We're going to the announcements. Excuse me. The meeting scheduled for the next month is as follows. Regular Town Commission on Monday, November 6th at 6 p.m. Planning and Zoning meeting on Tuesday, October 17th at 9. Board of Adjustment meeting tentatively on Wednesday, October 18th at 9 a.m. All meetings are held in the Commission chambers in the Town Hall. Town Hall will be closed on Monday, October 9th in observance of Columbus Day. The annual municipal election will be held on March 19, 2024. There are 2 seats on the Town Commission open for 3 years and 1 seat on the commission for 2 years. Candidate filing dates from November 6, 2023 at noon through November 17, 2023 at noon in the town clerk's office. And I can't speak Spanish, so I'm not going to finish through that. Residents who wish to sign up to receive important town notifications and news through Civic Ready should sign up on the town's website or call Town Hall for assistance. All right, now we'll move on to public comment.
I had a couple of
Oh,
announcements.
I thought you were going to do that at the end. All right, go ahead.
As I said on September 18th at the budget hearing, for those of you who were here, some of you as residents in Ocean Ridge may have received a mailing from Corcoran earlier this last month. I've been there as a real estate agent for 5.5 years and recently joined a new team. We had been working on a mailing and I returned from a trip overseas on September 12th and it was in my mailbox. I just want to be clear that I had not reviewed or approved it before the mailing, and I apologize for that. Another quick announcement, we are bringing back Veterans Day observance in full here at Town Hall. Starbright Civic Initiative is going to be working with the town staff and the police department. We'll be having a ceremony honoring local veterans at 11 o'clock, followed by a picnic. And just finally, I have been appointed to the Florida League of Cities, Utilities, Natural Resources, and Public Works Policy Committee, meeting on Friday. Thank you.
You're welcome. Now, just one thing on that. That was, we haven't really decided on that Veterans Day thing. So that'll be a commission,
One thing-
commission, what's that?
Should we put that actually on the agenda?
Yeah, let's go ahead and put that on number
15?
15,
Okay,
all right?
apologize.
That's okay. All righty, now moving on to public comment. Anybody wish to have 3 minutes? Ladies first, Terry.
You want me to be first?
No, ladies first.
I thought you
I
said-
made you, unless,
I saw her lift up, so I knew that she had something more important to say.
It is.
You're talking about flooding on Tropical.
No, I'm not. We're doing that.
so you're trying to get even more 3 minutes, Terry?
Thank you all for the sign ordinance that's passed. And so my question is.
Well, Name and address for the record.
I'm sorry, Debbie Cook, 28 Tropical Drive.
There you go.
And I, again, thank you for the sign ordinance getting passed. This is October, it's supposed to be October 5th, the signs are coming off. And so far, down in our way, the signs are there, and I know that, I know this isn't asking questions, but I think you guys need to kind of know, or we need to know, is there a procedure? Are the police going to go by and tag the signs?
Go ahead, chief, you can answer that.
Yes, we did a survey of the beach, officers did, and they saw 3 violations on 3 properties, and a certified mail went out to those 3 properties
Okay.
for compliance,
Okay.
and they will have 30 days to comply.
Okay, also on that ordinance.
Could
it
you
talks-
use the mic, please?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was loud enough. Also in that ordinance, it says about the arrows, like which way they can point, because there are signs out on there on the road that says private beach and points both ways. They're not on
We
the,
only assess the toe of the dune, the beach signs,
well,
on our survey.
right, so, that needs to be addressed too. So they've been given notice. So are you gonna check, or as residents, do we check and get the town to call?
We have, the mailers went out, and after 30 days, it will become enforceable.
Which is in October the 5th, right?
Well, no, 30 days from the mailer, not when the ordinance went into effect.
So when was that date, chief?
The mailers went out, I believe, a week and a half ago, 2 weeks.
So it would be toward the,
Okay, so it's not October the 5th.
right, see, what happens is
I'll
once,
try to keep the rioting down on the beach.
so,
Because we're-
well, they had 30 days. So once they're noticed, they have the 30 days. And after the 30 days, then it goes to code enforcement. So that if somebody still didn't take them down, then it goes to code enforcement. So they still might be up there until they get dragged into code enforcement and special magistrate.
Okay.
We put it out as a civic ready notice and then directed them to the town website to read the ordinance.
Okay, another thing just to mention, right now with high tide, there's a lot of plastic on the beach. It's a great opportunity to take a walk, take a bucket and pick it up and clean up our beach. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I don't believe the beach sign ordinance addresses signs on the street side of,
Doesn't.
It doesn't.
okay.
Terry?
Didn't want anybody pushing me out of the way. Terry Brown, Harbor Drive South. I did want to thank the hard work that went into keeping the tax rate low. I don't speak for anyone else other than my wife. We happen to be under the great Save the Home amendments. So I'm not really speaking for the new people that come in and have to pay these exorbitant taxes. The guy across the street is paying 4 times what we pay. But I did appreciate that. So I wanted to be sure you knew that. Our taxes barely ticked up. So, because we're protected by the assessment. That's due to a great Governor Lawton Child, by the way. At any rate, I didn't appreciate, though, in my opinion, not that I have anything to say about it, the way in which the salary bonus issue was resolved. You must make the salary benefits permanent so that you have loyal, committed employees. That's the only way to run an organization. You're talking only 4 or 5 people. A bonus is nice, but it's gone. and it doesn't increase their salary for retirement purposes or ongoing bills. So I did disagree with that. I didn't come in and speak before because I didn't have an opportunity, but these are good people. They work very hard and they keep the town going. The police have their own role. These folks deal with everybody, the public, the contractors, citizens like me, who come and ask for questions. So that was one thing I wanted to be clear on. The other thing that, I came to the planning and zoning meeting last month, and there was supposed to be 3 people for a quorum. Now, all of you know this story, I'm sure. And the dude that was supposed to show up didn't show up. And the clerk, speaking of working hard, there's a clerk and the assistant clerk, the manager, the town attorney, the town planner, the town engineer, and about 10 people for the applicant were here. And I was here. And he didn't show up. He couldn't be reached with his contact number. They were going out every 5 seconds calling, trying to get in touch with him. This was a lot of money. You paid Christie for being here, right? The hours went in, the engineer went in. Who's going to pay for that? We pay for that, the taxpayers. This is not a good appointment. This guy is a builder and a developer. He has projects in town. He was with a client and he didn't show up for town work that you appointed him to. No, actually, just the 3 of you appointed these people to those commissions. He ought to be removed from that board and elevate an alternate. So that people understand they're required to make a commitment to show up at these meetings. They show up. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else? Hey, Betty.
Betty Bingham, 1 East Ocean Avenue. I have a number of things. Number one, I think everybody knows that Ocean Avenue had about a foot of water on it this week. It seems to me that people that have been around a long time know that when the county put that road in, they didn't put either a flat valve or a check valve on the pipe, and that water was bubbling up through the drainage system, not from the rain. It was, and I think, I don't know what we can do with the county, but I think they should get the flat valve or something. And I do know that the major pipe is down the center of the street, because the last time this happened, they said they would have problems because of that. But they said they could do something about the drainage on both sides. That's number one. Number two, I can't tell you how many people stopped me and said, thank you for finding a way to stop the bicyclists, the major packs coming through the stoplights. There seemed to be a lot of people annoyed by that. And you know something? I feel sorry for the person that hits them. I wouldn't want to hit a person, but it may very well happen. And then, question. The lawn maintenance people, they did get all the leaves off the sidewalk today. However, they've still thrown all the palm fronds and things on top of the vegetation, right straight down Ocean Avenue. You can go see where they cut them and where they threw this thing, that if we're paying them $100,000 a year, I think they could jolly well pick up their garbage. And then last but not least, Florida is as an open carry state, I think, now. So I want to know, can I bring my BB gun back from North Carolina so I can shoot at the iguanas and the squirrels?
To Betty's point real quick, Lynn, have you called the FDOT regarding that valve, that flapper on that 36-inch valve?
We have spoken to them. They're supposed to be doing the project on the south side. Last communication last week from James Poole was that they were waiting for drier weather to start the project.
All right, I can tell you there is a valve.
10 years ago.
Yeah, and it's a state road, not county, right?
So it's a
Yeah.
Florida, the FDOT, FDOT for that. So my second question is, when is speaking again to Betty's point, when is their contract up for their existing lawn maintenance people?
It is up in November.
All right, we may gonna look at that, maybe put it out for bid.
We're looking at it internally already.
Okay, good. All right, anybody else for public comment? Hello.
Stella Culp, 204 Beachway. Good evening. I'm baffled as to Veterans Day. I mean, totally baffled right now. So I don't know why we have it on the agenda. So can I speak on it when it comes up? Or
Absolutely. If you speak on it now, then you can.
what?
If you speak on it now,
Then I can't speak on it then.
Mhm.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. Anyone else? All right. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, we
Yes.
did miss one presentation. I'm not sure how it missed not getting on the agenda, but the audit presentation for FY '22,
Yeah, I wouldn't want to miss Ron's
Yeah.
presentation.
especially not with him here.
All right, Ron, you're up. So how many years has it been, Ron?
I don't know.
It's got to be 15. What do you say, Ken?
I'll look it up.
15.
Yeah.
It's been around 15 anyway. With that being said, first off, Mr. Mayor, members of the commission, I want to thank you for allowing Nolan Holton Minor to serve as your auditor for all these years. Hopefully you'll see fit to keep us for a few more.
As long as you're involved.
As long as I'm around here. That may not be as long as it used to be. I'm getting a little long in the tooth here, but we really do appreciate the opportunity. And I want to thank the staff and management for their cooperation. They're a pleasure to work with. The report was a lot later this year than it normally is, and a couple of weeks of that was my fault. I got sick, and the rest of it, I think, came down to anytime there's change, something always falls through the crack, and it's been my experience over the last 30 years. I've seen the same thing happen. We've audited somebody for a long time, and all of a sudden everybody leaves, and it takes, especially if they leave late in the fiscal year, then things just don't work like they're supposed to for a while. Generally, by the next year, everything's back in sync and roll along. So with that said, I just want to talk about the numbers. You can read the report. Governmental financial statements are complicated, much more so than those for a for-profit entity, a General Motors, or somebody like that. You have a lot more statements and a lot more things in there. Right off the bat, you have 4 reports. There's a report, the opinion on the financial statements required by generally accepted auditing standards. There's a second report required by government auditing standards. When you do a governmental audit in the state of Florida, you have to follow not only the regular auditing standards, but government auditing standards, sometimes referred to as the yellow book. They're published by the GAO. 30 years ago, when they came out with it, it was in a yellow binder. Now it's just a PDF online someplace. But then there are 2 reports that are required by the state of Florida. There's a management letter, which has several items we just have to comment on. And then there's an opinion on whether or not it complies with the Florida statutes 218.415. That's the statute that says what a governmental entity in Florida can invest their surplus funds in. So we have to go check on that. And I'm happy to say that the town is in compliance again this year. On the standard audit report, you got a clean opinion. Your financial statements are fairly stated. The management letter is enough to bore you to tears. There's a lot of stuff. I don't know why you have to say the same thing every year. Like, what was the enabling legislation? You got to mention that or refer to the financial statements. We always put it in note 1 of the financial statement so people can see how the town came to be. But anyway, to me, the interesting things are the numbers. I don't like the words. I'm an engineer and an accountant, not an attorney, so I much prefer to talk about numbers. We go to the second page. And this is a 5-year trend analysis, a summary of the governmental revenues. Governmental revenues.
Excuse me 1 second, Ron.
Yes,
Can you make that bigger? Please? There you go.
Oh, there you go.
Thank you.
Yeah, folks can actually read it now. In a governmental entity, one of the types of funds are governmental funds. That happens to be the only types of funds that the town of Ocean Bend has. And it has 2 of them. It has a general fund where most of your activities occur, and a capital projects funds where if most of your acquisition of long-lived assets, if you're going to construct something or buy something, you move the money over there and that activity takes place in the capital projects fund. This particular exhibit combines the revenues for both of them. These are the total revenues of the town at the fund level, and I'll talk more about that in a minute. You got a 5-year trend you can see from last year to the current year, 21 to 22. The revenues increased total from about 8.8 million to 9.4 million. So 602,000 increase or 6.8% overall.
And the 3 or 4 items basically accounted for all the change. Property taxes went up about 418,000. That's a 7.4% increase. Licenses and permits dropped down 253,000. That's primarily due to a decrease in building permits. As you can see, looking back over 5 years, there's been a building boom in the town in the last couple of years. In 2018, it was only 268,000. In 21, it was $1,000,001 and change. And in 22, it's almost 870,000, down from the prior year, but still high by historical standards. So that dropped off, and that's typical. They go all over the place. They're up and down. They can take huge swings. The other big increase was grants, 490,000 increase, 526,000. That's because the town recognized a portion of the ARPA grant funds in 22. You're gonna recognize another big tranche of them in 23, I suspect. Probably already have since the year's over. But all in all, you had a 602,000 or a 6.8 increase in your total revenues. The next page, please. This is just a graphical presentation. I like the pictures. You can see the trends better if you can get that thing to roll forward a page there. There you go. It's kind of like stair steps, which is kind of what you think about you want to see. If nothing else, inflation is going to creep things up over time. You can have some fluctuations on that, but the stair step I think is a good and normal pattern. Next page, please. This is the other side. The revenues are the money coming in, the expenditures are the money going out. Again, we have a 5-year trend, and you see we had a huge increase in expenditures in the current year from 7.6 million to about 9.4 million. So almost 1.8 million increase, or 23.2%. But that's a little misleading because capital outlay increased about 1.67 million, but 1.5 million, that was one purchase of land. So if you take that out, things really didn't change much. You had general government actually decreased 4%. Public safety increased 3.5%, which was less than inflation for the year. And then everything else was kind of sort of in there. The debt service, the amount, between the categories, you see one went up. As you amortize the loans, the principal portion goes up, the interest portion goes down, and the total payment's about the same. So all in all, they almost netted out. So again, we have a 1.8 million almost increase, or 23.2%. Next page, please. You can see the big jump here. The kind of the tan looking big block up towards the top is the capital outlay. You can see where in prior years it was much, much smaller. And again, that's just one item the town purchased some land. Next page. Fund balance. Fund balance is your equity. If you're an individual, they say it was your net worth. You take all your assets and subtract off all your liabilities, and what you got left is your fund balance. And now it's a little more complicated because the Governmental Accounting Standards Board created deferred inflows and deferred outflows, which are things that used to be assets and liabilities. But anyway, this is what you got left. And yours is in very good shape, I think. You have about 6.6 million of fund balance. And unlike a business where you just got fund balance, in a governmental entity, they stratify it into categories. And that is, the best kind is unassigned. That's the money that can be expended for any lawful purpose at the discretion of the governing body. So you have about 4.6 million, which is 70% of your total. And that's, let's see, what's the ratio? So look what the total expenditures were. That's almost a half year's. Well, it's more than that for general fund. Just a second, I'll tell you. I should have put that calculation on there. The reason I look at that is, one of the questions that come up is, okay, what's a good fund balance to have? And for a town sitting on the Atlantic Ocean in a hurricane zone, it's bigger than it would be for somebody in rural South Georgia, where I came from.
I came up with 47%. I took the 4,000,006. Well, I took it over 9.8, which is our budget this year.
Right.
I took the
That's
capital outlay.
So you got almost half a year's of expenditures sitting there in readily available funds. If something goes wrong, you can pay the bills for half a year without any more revenue coming in. So that's very good.
I have a
Yeah,
question on
large
that, can
number.
we?
Yeah, we can answer them afterwards.
Okay.
The second category here is the sign, and we would say it's earmarked. The town has earmarked those for some purposes, but you can change your mind if you wanted to. If you were in dire straits and you needed that money, you have another $680,000 you could access just by, actions of the governing body. The restricted, that's money that somebody else has tied strings to, and you can't do anything about it. It's like grant funds, ARPA grant funds. Okay, you can only spend it for this, you can only spend it for that. A fair portion of these come from the building permit revenues. State of Florida says building permit revenues can only be used to enforce the building code. So if you take in more money than you spend, it becomes restricted. And it's a lot more complicated than that because they changed the law a couple of years ago, but just an overview. You can't ever spend it for anything else. So in years when you're flush, you're getting a lot of money in, you bring in more than it costs to enforce the code. But in years when the building industry's not going so great, you probably spend more than you brought in. But that money can only be used for that purpose. And that's what a lot of those restricted funds are. There's some other categories. Non-spendable, you don't have any this year, but that would be something like a prepaid expense or inventory. It's actually something, instead of non-spendable, it's actually already been spent. There's a fifth category that doesn't show here because you've never had it, and that's committed. It's similar to a sign, but it's more rigidly committed. A sign, you can just have a motion and assign money for something. If you want to commit it, you actually have to have an ordinance or a resolution to do it. It has to be a more formal process. The bottom line is you have 6.6 million, 4.7 million, almost of that is the best kind, and I think that's good. The next page again is the graphical representation. The actual general fund balance went down about $170,000 this year. Kind of a normal fluctuation. Now, I mentioned earlier about at the fund level, the last two pages in here bring up a copy. That in governmental financial statements, you actually have two sets of financial statements. Over in the front, you're gonna have a statement of net position and a statement of activities. And they're done on totally different bases. That is, you got measurement focus and basis of accounting. The measurement focus says what you put in. At the fund level, you put in current financial resources. You don't have any long-term assets, you don't have any long-term liabilities. You look at that balance sheet on the general fund, you don't see any buildings, equipment, long-term debt, anything like that. The second is the basis of accounting, that's modified accrual. Basis of accounting says when you put it in, it's the timing. So on the revenue side, on modified accrual, it's basically like full accrual, but you have to get the money within 60 days or year end, or you can't consider it revenue. And on the expenditure side, it's pretty much the same as full accrual. When we go to the statement of net position and the statement of activities, it's full accrual. That's just the way that a business would do theirs. And it's economic resources. That says we put everything. We put in the capital assets, land, the buildings, the equipment. We put in the debt, the pension liabilities, all those things. And it's full accrual, which says it's revenue when I earn it, no matter when I collect it. It's an expense when I incur the liability, no matter when I pay it. So you have receivables and payables and those things like a normal business would. You get a dual presentation, so you really live and breathe at the fund level. You only do the entity-wide statements once a year. And usually they come several months after year end, so you're not doing anything with them during the year. I don't know why the Governmental Accounting Standards Board thinks they're so important. When you get one set of them a year, they're of almost no use for, as far as I'm concerned, for decision making, because you don't get them every month. Nobody. I've never seen anybody do them on a monthly basis. They're only done annually and usually done by quarter. But in any event, what they show is that your net position, again, it's the equivalent of fund balance, but on different standard. You have about 17.2 million. You got 24 million in total assets and 7 million in, almost 8 million in liabilities for a net of 17 million. And the very last page is the statement of activities. We call this a profit and loss statement or an income statement if you're a normal business. And that's exactly what it is. They just have different categories. For the current year, your net position increased almost 1.8 million, so that's very good. That's all I have to say, but I'd be glad to try and answer any questions. And if you think of something a week from now or 6 months from now, you want to ask me a question, call me anytime. I know I've spoken with a couple of you in the last few weeks, and I think that's great. You know, call me anytime. If you got any question, not just about the audit, but your financial activities in general. You know, the town manager has my phone number, and you can reach me anytime. That's my cell number, so you really can reach me anytime. I work remotely most of the time, so I bypass the office number and just call me direct.
Great. And Phil, you have a question?
Yeah, but I got 3 questions. The first one, and you kind of hinted towards it, how much should we have in reserve, so to speak, for the rainy day? What I've been reading, or what I've been hearing, because we've been talking about this a lot, it's been like 10 to 25%, and I think we're around 47% now. We're planning, and could be 10, 20 years from now, putting a sewer system in. That's like $40 million at today's dollars, is a lot of money. So basically what I'm asking you is, you've done a lot of these audits throughout the state. You probably do other shore properties, that kind of thing, so that hurricanes, that kind of stuff. Where should we be at?
Well, you know, if you'd asked me that question 30 years ago, I'd have given you a different answer. Because in those 30 years, we've had quite a bit of hurricane activity down here. Was it 2005 when we really had the bad time, 2004 or 5? I can remember not having air conditioning for a week or so while P&L was trying to get the lines back. I bought a generator to do that. But I would have said, yeah, you know, you probably need a couple of months worth, you know, that's 16%, something like that. Now I'd say it's more. And now instead of saying a percentage, I tend to look at the number. Okay, suppose we get the worst case, we have a category 4 hurricane or something that comes through here and things just get devastated. How much money would you need to run things for a while? You know, okay, if town hall gets wiped out, you're gonna have to go rent a place to, you know, or bring in portables and this sort of stuff. So I wouldn't do it on a percentage, I'd do it on a dollar amount. And you know, it's easy to give you a guideline. The elected officials get to make the hard decisions. I get to stand here and pontificate in theory, but you gotta do it in practice. So with 1 million, with 2 million, yeah, what do you think it would take in the worst case scenario? That's what I would try and have. Or 3 or 4 or 5 or whatever. We actually had one municipality a few years ago. They said, you know, we're having a hard time putting away money. They are not as economically advantaged as you are over here on the barrier islands. So, you know, they were pretty close to the bone, but just barely getting by. They went down, they got a line of credit. They found out for a very small amount of money, they could get like $1 million line of credit so that, you know, they could just call anytime it was held for them for a nominal annual fee. You don't have to do that here, but that's what, how some people addressed it. They didn't have 4, 5, 6 million, you know, that they could sit on there. So does that help?
Yeah, it helps, but what about the future? You know, the issues with the sewer, the septic, the issues with the flooding. If you drove down Ocean Avenue at 12 o'clock, you would have been better off on a boat.
Yeah, it's a little wet.
Right, exactly. So those kind of things, raising roads, all that kind of stuff, should that be in any of these calculations at all?
It depends on whether you want to put up with debt or not. There's 2 ways you can finance major capital projects. If you have the luxury of just increasing your millage rate and accumulating money over time in advance, then you can go that route and then just keep building that fund balance. And if you need 20 million, and okay, you build it up to 20 million. Or the other route is okay, we need the 20 million now, we'll pay it over the next 20 years. We go float a bond issue, we borrow the $20 million, and then, you know, we pay it over the next 20 years or, you know, 30, whatever the period is. So it depends on your tolerance for debt and, you know, what kind of millage rate, you know, you have and what you think the citizens will put up with. Taxpayers, you know, I'm a taxpayer too. I don't like it. I live in an unincorporated county, but I don't like it when they raise the millage rate. But, you know, I don't know which is the best. I mean, I'm risk averse myself. I prefer to accumulate money if I need to buy a house or do a build one, although I borrow money to buy a house, but for cars, I typically like to save up and pay cash. But this is probably the kind of money you're talking about. It's probably, it'd take you a long time to accumulate that kind of money, so you're probably gonna have to look at some debt, would be my guess.
No, I understand that. One last question, this might be for Lynn. This is, I think, is when I was commissioner in the past, first year that we've ever uncollected tax revenue below what we budgeted. Because we always budget like 97.5%, 98.5, I think. How did that happen? Do you guys know? Like, why did we come under budget on our revenue on our taxes? Because what happens is, if somebody doesn't pay the taxes, somebody buys that at an interest rate, and you get that money. So you should get close to 100% all the time. Just,
Well,
you notice that.
I
at
know
all.
one
They
property
get
on
a
North
4%
Ocean that
discount
hasn't paid
though.
their taxes.
If everybody paid, in November when the bill came out, you couldn't collect more than 96%. So you may have had more people that took the discount, and you may have had some that just flat didn't pay. It's gotta be that, one or the other, or a combination of the both, the two. I can't.
Have you
think
guys
of-
ever had it though? You guys were commissioners longer than I was. Did you ever see
It
that?
fluctuates
happen?
from year to year.
Never been below.
Yeah, but has it ever
97.5.
been below what we budgeted?
We usually hit, what, 98 to 99.
Yeah, matter of fact.
No,
Oh,
taxes?
so we
No, we
look at the
expend up to 98 to 99.
No, no,
What's
But
the
our
collection
revenue
rate?
collection.
we set our collection rate at 97.5.
What's the concern?
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing.
There's like an
What's the
error
concern?
somewhere. There could be an error. Something's missing. We've already collected for this year, okay, for 2023, 96.9, is it?
That says 98.9.
No, I'm sorry, 98.9. Glasses for
For
those.
2023.
Yeah, so we've already gotten that.
So we're
kind of-
pretty much right at
Good shape.
the 99.
I don't know, as far as how we audit that, we actually get a confirmation from the tax collector. They just send us a list and
Yeah.
say, this is everything they
So
paid.
it's certified.
Yeah, they just tell you what they paid.
Okay.
We don't have to be real smart to audit that one.
Any other questions for Ron? Ron, thank you so much for
Thank you.
coming in today. Really
We really
appreciate it.
appreciate
Good
the
seeing you
opportunity.
again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now we'll move on to the approval of the consent agenda.
What?
You need a
One
motion?
Wait, need a motion?
to approve the consent agenda.
Second?
Okay, motion and second. Any other comments? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. All right, regular agenda items. Number 6, discussion regarding upcoming evaluation appraisal report and comprehensive plan updates. Lynn?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Ocean Ridge is required to complete the required 7-year update to our comprehensive plan in 2024. I reached out to the town's current planner, Corey O'Gorman, and from him, he connected me with Jim Fleshman, with Land Research Management, who's provided a proposal for the completion of the EAR, the Evaluation and Appraisal Report, and related comp plans. The cost for completing the evaluation updates is dependent upon the number of public meetings that the commission feels are necessary to adequately obtain input from the residents. I was given contact information for a second party, but did not receive a response prior to the agendas going out. Have gotten that contact information since. This is a statutorily required process. The town must do every 7 years, and we want to make sure that we've got plenty of time to set up the public meetings and for them to take place when the greatest number of our residents are in town, which is obviously the season from November through April. So getting this out as soon as possible. We have Jim here to answer any questions on the proposal he submitted. I will turn it over to him so he can speak more about it.
Well, good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. My name is Jim Fleischman with Land Research Management, local small consulting firm. We've been in business in Palm Beach County since 1982. And have worked on the comprehensive plans for several municipalities in Palm Beach County. And also have prepared evaluation and appraisal reports for several municipalities, including Biloxi, Lake Clark Shores, and we're currently working on town of Loxahatchee Groves as well. So we're very familiar with the process that's involved. And the process itself essentially consists of 3 steps. The first step is to draft a letter of items that the town feels that it needs to address during the process. And we send that letter up to the state. The state has an opportunity to review it and agree with it, or identify additional items that the state wants to see in the evaluation appraisal report. The second step, once we get that letter from the state, the second step is to go ahead and prepare the evaluation and appraisal report itself, which consists of an update of background data necessary in the comprehensive plan, and also to identify comprehensive plan amendments that need to be undertaken and adopted. And then the third step will be to actually pass an ordinance adopting those amendments. So as I said, a 3-step process, essentially gain approval from the state for the content of the evaluation and appraisal report, complete the evaluation and appraisal report, and then take that report and update the goals, objectives, and policies of the comprehensive plan. Now, I'm not totally familiar with the town's comprehensive plan, but I've had the opportunity over the last few days to take a look at it, and it's my opinion that the comprehensive plan is really in good shape. And it shouldn't be a tremendous effort to go through and update it. A couple of the items that would be the principal factors in coming up with a budget are, number one, how much of the background and support data that's in the plan now needs to be updated and brought current. And then the second would be, how many public meetings does the council want to have, and or the local planning agency want to have to take it through the process. I think that the number of public meetings probably we can get a good handle on that after the evaluation and appraisal report is done, so that we can identify major issues that need to be addressed. Now, as an example, Loxahatchee Groves is a relatively new community out west of Royal Palm Beach, and it's for years it was a lazy rural farming community. All of a sudden, it's growing like crazy, and there's a lot of issues. So the town council decided that in preparing its EAR, that it was going to go through the comprehensive plan page by page. And we are on our 10th town council public hearing going through the plan. And there's going to be a couple public workshops after that. So that can be an expensive component of this whole process, is the number of public meetings. And that really is almost an unknown until we get through the evaluation and appraisal report itself and identify the issues that need to be addressed. So I'm really not ready at this point to make a proposal in terms of the cost, because we really just started looking at it. But I think that I would recommend that this whole process essentially be broken down into two parts. The first part is gaining approval from the state and preparation of the evaluation and appraisal report. That's pretty much an administrative part, an administrative project for the consultants to perform, because going through and updating population projections, tables, text that needs to be updated, things like that, we can bring that back probably to one council meeting and get that adopted by resolution or voice vote. Once we have that, I would recommend that we have a second phase where we get a better understanding of a number of public meetings. If it's a simple process, on the low end, we could have one public hearing with the local planning agency, which I assume is your planning and zoning board, or maybe it's even the commission, I'm not sure. But they have to have their own separate local planning agency public hearing. Once they have that, they would make a recommendation to the council, and the council would consider first reading of an ordinance adopting the plan amendments. Then we would send that up to the state and also various regional and state departments to get their comments. They have 30 days to do that. And when we get that back, hopefully that they don't have any objections or require additional work on the town's part. And then we could adopt that by second reading. So if everything goes real smoothly, we could get away with 3 public hearings.
Okay, so Lynn, so you're saying you want to break it into 2 different?
Yes, we could do that, or just to be safe, at least from my part, I could give you an hourly rate with an upset figure not to exceed.
All right, so, but we need to have that rate so we can, so what you want us to do, I guess, by this is basically choose to have this gentleman give us a price, because we're going with this?
So we've been talking about this, that, we should also be looking to other people for this service, right? You just,
Well, that's what,
bidding
then
it out.
you said, did you
No,
bid it
that's,
out?
well,
I said I got the information finally on Friday, not before the agendas went out.
Okay, so we should really send it out to bid. I'd hate to waste Mr. Fleischman's time here, but I mean, are you gonna send this out to bid? Do we, Mr. Blake, he can give us his bid.
Mr. Mayor,
Where we at here?
for professional services, which the certain consultant services we would need for this effort, there's an exemption that allows for the commission to directly enter a contract with someone who has the requisite skills to provide the needed professional services. So, in other words, your procurement code does not require you to go out for bid for these types of services. Obviously, that's at your decision whether or not you want to send it out for a bid or whether or not you want to consider directly acquiring services.
can I ask you a question? So, for Mr. Fleischman, say we do have, it's a fairly simple process. First of all, what kind of amendment, what drives amendments and updates to the comp plan? Is it new state law? Is it, the population hasn't changed much.
Yeah, there's 2 basic parts to that. We have to address certain of the updates to the Florida statutes that relate to comprehensive plans. And also, we have to identify whether or not there are any local issues that have not been previously addressed or were not adequately addressed in the comprehensive plan. So state requirements and local issues are the two things that we look at.
Okay, and in your experience with small coastal communities, how much time do you think, provided it's a fairly straightforward process, from the moment when we send our letter to the state for the EAR to getting through the public hearings, what's the time frame?
Well, first of all, the state probably won't get back to us for 30 days. So that's 1 month there.
Okay.
And then our due date for adoption is April 1st. However, if for some reason the town decides that there's some issues that may take a little bit longer to resolve and incorporate in the plan, we can go past that date without any penalties. So, I mean, there used to be penalties, but they were pretty much taken away at the last legislature. So, but it'll take us 1 month, like I said, to write up the letter to the state, get their letter back saying okay. And I anticipate that they probably will say okay. Of all of the EARs that I've worked on, the state very rarely disagrees with what the local government says.
All right, so Corey O'Gorman recommended, Mr. Fleischman?
Yes.
All right, so we can, as a group, approve you bringing us back a bid. Is that what we're, well, and then once the bid comes in, wait a second, once the bid comes in, then we don't have to send it out for bids all
I
the
have a
time.
very simple question. We did one 7 years ago. Who played Jim's role 7 years ago?
Urban Design Studio, but they're no longer doing EAR and comprehensive plan updates.
Oh, yeah, that's.
Mayor, I may be speaking out of turn here, but does the town have a consulting contract with Corey?
As our planner, yes.
Well, could the contract then be a subcontract through Corey? Because Corey and I are going to work together on this. So, I mean, it wouldn't necessarily be a contract with my company.
Can you give us a ballpark on what the whole process costs? What is the budget?
Well, like I say, it's hard to say jurisdiction to jurisdiction, but I can tell you that with all of the meetings and reports and public comment we've had in Loxahatchee Groves, the bid was $50,000, hourly rate not to exceed $50,000, and I don't think we're going to get there. So, if you won't hold me to it, I would say that we probably could do it for possibly half of that, or maybe a little bit more.
And what's budgeted?
30,000 is budgeted.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, if it's the commission's desire, what I would recommend is sending a standard professional services agreement to Mr. Fleischman to review, and then he could insert what his hourly rate would, and we could put a not to exceed amount on the contract. That way we'd have a direct contract with him, and Mr. O'Gorman could work together as needed on the issues. Of course, Mr. O'Gorman is very familiar with our comprehensive plan and our existing LDRs in terms of making sure they're consistent. I am familiar with the Loxahatchee Grove process, and it has been very extensive. I don't anticipate that this town is going to have that much involvement in this year.
Nowhere near.
No, but they're creating a town, basically.
So they've already created it. It's just they're going through a lot of changes. They have a lot of growth. We don't have much growth. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. We could go back 7 years, and we can go back 14 years. We can go back 21 years. My guess is, because I think I've been through 3 of them, I think, it hasn't changed all that much. So I think you can go back just within our minutes and find out if hopefully they still have kept minutes. And we can get an idea, right? And I would suggest that the town manager look at what will be needed
and come up with a plan of attack, working with Corey, since he's already, on a planner for us, and come up with recommendations as to how to proceed. And I think within that process, you should be able to come up with an estimate of how much time is going to be involved and what we anticipate. And my guess is that if you look back at those 3 other times that we've done this, it hasn't changed all that much in terms of time involved, et cetera.
Information.
Did you bid it out competitively in any other?
We went for a request for, Urban Design Studios, I know we did it twice.
Yeah.
So, maybe 3 times. I remember the guy's son, he passed away somewhere along the line there. But I think if you just go back, it doesn't, we don't have that growth. We don't have those changes that are going on that other communities have, that we have to be concerned ourselves with. So one of the things they do is they go back and look through state law, see where we vary. They have to correct those and things that we need to, or where we see we're going. That's all part of the comprehensive plan. But we don't have commercial. We're not getting commercial. So, there's a lot of things there that you can eliminate. And I doubt very seriously, I'd be shocked if it was half what Waxahachie Groves is.
Oh, yeah.
So with that in mind, I think by the next meeting, you should be able to work with Corey, Lynn, and come up with a plan. But we went out for, as far as bids, we get requests for qualifications. So it's a little slightly different. Who's qualified to get it, right? And the hourly rates tend to be within, at least my memory is pretty close. So you're really hiring the person and working with our current planner. They usually come in, the manager, they come up with recommendations, and usually it's the right one to make.
That's what
So-
Yeah, Mayor, I could make one more suggestion. Again, I'm not speaking on the term. The town has, the town engineer, police chief, building official, public works director, zoning person, and town clerk. I'd be willing to donate my time if we could have sort of like a staff meeting with all of those people, where we sit down and take a look at the current comprehensive plan and identify areas that may need to be updated, and then use that as the basis for a letter.
That's
Okay.
the whole purpose of getting back, that's why I
Right,
suggested.
so you're gonna have to
for
get
Lynn
with
to do
Corey,
that.
Mr. Fleischman, bring it back next month. Thank you for your time and all this
Sure.
information.
Okay, you're welcome. Thank you.
All right.
Public comment, opportunity?
Sure.
Terry Brown, Hubbard, I hate to admit it, but Ken is right. It's driven by state.
Kills it, doesn't it? It just kills you.
State statute and data, pretty dry stuff and boring for the most part. But my concern, and most of the residents, I think, would be concerned that at least the public hearings, you let them know what you're proposing if there's any changes. So it's driven by citizens and residents, not by data and consultants. So it's important that the public hearing be as comprehensive as possible. Serve some wine and beer and cookies, that'll do it. But you know what I'm saying, that you need to get the people in here. Most of the time, they don't show up. Make it worth their while.
All right. Thank you. Any other public comment on this? No more cookies? All right, moving on to number 7. Approval of resolution number 2023-12, resolution of the town of Ocean Ridge, Florida, expressing support for the extension and continuation of the Palm Beach County 1-cent sales surtax to fund local infrastructure projects through December 31st, 2036, and providing an effective date and for other purposes. Lynn?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In November 2016, the voters in Palm Beach County approved an increase in the local sales tax from 6 cents to 7 cents per dollar to fund infrastructure improvements. The tax became effective in January of 2017 and automatically sunsets December 31st, 2026, or upon the generation of $2.7 billion in total revenue. To date, the town has received $924,943.33. I think I missed the number there. Which right now is currently being set aside for septic to sewer. The resolution being considered by the commission, it expresses support for the renewal of this sales tax. Communities throughout Palm Beach County are considering this resolution so that we can send it to the Palm Beach County Commission as they begin their process to determine if they want to put the infrastructure surtax back on the ballot for renewal.
Okay. Where do I make a motion?
Yeah, I make a motion to approve resolution number 2023-12.
I'll second it.
All right. Public comment? Hearing none, back to the commission. Commissioner comments.
Doesn't anybody have a concern for this?
No.
None.
No.
I don't know.
Go ahead.
All right, so
I think anytime you have a revenue blank check, it becomes an issue. And just by saying we're just,
Infrastructure.
well, I'd like to know how we did in the first go around. What happened with that go around? We raised the 2.7 billion. What did it go to? What's that? Oh, sorry. Well, I'd like to know what it went to and how were we successful with that? I mean, what was the track record with that first go around? Before, I mean, I'll go along with it, but I mean, I just think it's odd that we just blanket pass something or without any knowledge is, what was the success of it? What did we?
We put every penny in, Lynn will correct me if I'm
Not
wrong,
us.
towards septic to sewer.
Yeah, no, not us.
He's
You're
talking
talking about-
countywide.
You're talking about countywide for 1%, additional sales tax. What was the success of that? How
we
much-
get
how much-
$924,943.
No, we got that.
That's what I'm saying. That's
But
that's the
generally,
success of
you
it
know-
for us, to put into our
That doesn't mean we'll
infrastructure.
get it the next time.
Doesn't mean that, but, so do you say no and not get anything?
Well, no, I think
He's gotta
it's
say yes.
wise
You gotta
to
say
ask the
yes.
question, when do you have to have this in by? What
Yeah,
would
but
you like to
who
know?
pays the sales
What's the
tax? Don't we
success
get
rate?
Yeah, that's-
tourists paying the sales
I mean,
tax?
I'm gonna, huh?
Aren't we getting a lot of tourists paying the sales tax? So really, they're helping us with their infrastructure.
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carries. All right, number 8,
I still would like to know the success of it.
call
I think for you all, you should know the success of it.
$934,000.
Common sense.
Approval of resolution number 2023-13, a resolution of the Commission of the Town of Ocean Ridge, Florida, appointing the Palm Beach County Canvassing Board as the Town of Ocean Ridge Canvassing Board for the 2024 municipal election, and providing for a repeal of conflicting resolution severability and an effective date when. Lynn?
This is Kelly's.
This is me.
Oh, it's Kelly? Okay. Kelly, Lynn, someone?
As you know, the municipal election will be held on March 19th, 2024. As done each year, a resolution designates the members of the election canvassing board for the town of Ocean Ridge. This year, we would like to again appoint the Palm Beach County canvassing board for the March 19th, 2024 municipal election for purposes of canvassing the returns and certifying the results of the election, including all absentee ballots, and/or to attend the testing of the automatic tabulation equipment. This is to meet the guidelines as outlined in state law, town code, and the election agreement between the county and the town. I recommend approval.
Okay.
Move to adopt resolution
Second.
2023-13.
Moving to second, public comment. I'm looking at you, Terry, because usually it's something right up your alley. All right, head it back to the commission. Any other discussion?
So is this through the supervisor of elections office? Okay, so it's not changing anything?
No, it's what we
Okay.
did last year.
Okay.
All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, moving on to number 9. This is the approval and first reading of ordinance 2023-04 and ordinance of the town of Ocean Ridge, Florida, amending its code of ordinances at chapter 67, article 2, entitled Coastal Construction, to clarify and revise the town's coastal construction regulations for all development and construction seaward of the 1997 Coastal Construction Control Line, and seaward, and ordinance severability and an effective date. Ms. Attorney?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think we might have missed some of the title.
Yeah, I did. I missed the seaward of the 1997 Coastal Construction setback line.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So for first reading, this is ordinance 2023-04. This is the ordinance that we've been talking about for several months now, regarding relaxing the revisions that were made in ordinance 2020-05 to our coastal construction provisions in our land development code. Basically, what we're doing is relaxing the provisions related to construction seaward of the 1979 coastal construction control line for those types of projects that we believe would be appropriately to be heard instead of by variance, but by an administrative permit process. And those types of projects are laid out in the code. We've been through this several times, and the most recent changes that were made to the August 2023 version are outlined in the agenda memo. The major changes were to make some of the language consistent with the existing definition of the town's code for habitable, to remove reference to Florida statute, and to ensure that there is a relaxation of standards and that we are not increasing the restrictions on this type of construction.
Thank you.
Welcome. Any questions?
Yes, I mean, rather than saying relaxing, I think what we're trying to do, and we've been trying to do all along, is to restore the homeowner rights that were taken away by 2020-05.
Well, I would have to disagree with that statement because some of the provisions that were changed in ordinance 2020-05 are not exact standards that we are relaxing back to. As you recall, there was some reference to septic tanks and that defining what was usable land area. We haven't reverted to that language. So we have, in my opinion, relaxed the standards that were implemented in 2020-05, but have not gone back 100% to what existed prior to 2020-05. So there is some technical, changes that are not going fully back to what it was. But I agree that, yes, we are undoing some things that were done with 2020-05 to revert back to, and specifically, Commissioner Cassidy, as you brought up in the past, removing the language that did restrict the usable lot area and buildable lot area to go back to what it was pre-2020-05.
Thank you.
Motion?
Move to adopt 2023-04.
Second?
Second, motion is second. Public comment?
Just, it would have been beneficial to have that map up showing the lines when you're discussing it, even though I know where the lines are, but some people might not know.
Thank you, Terry. Any other public comment?
Good evening, Janice Rustin with the law firm of Lewis, Long & Walker. I'm here on behalf of Alvin Melnick at 6301 North Ocean Boulevard. I just want to thank the commission for taking the time and really recognizing some of the issues that the 2020 ordinance had, by unintended consequences or otherwise created, and really listening to the residents and especially staff, the town attorney. I think this has been a really positive experience for everybody. So I just want to thank you all very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, back to the commission. Any other discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Moving on to item number 10. See if I can get through the whole thing without missing anything over there. Approval on first reading of ordinance 2023-05, an ordinance of the town of Ocean Ridge, Florida, amending its code of ordinances at chapter 64 zoning. Article 1, district regulations, section 64-1, RSF and RSE, single family residential districts. Subsection 64-1J, RSF, single family residential property development regulation, to identify the 1979 coastal construction line as the rear setback for lots adjacent to the ocean. Amending subsection 64-1K to RSE, single family residential estate property development regulations by declaring 14 parcels of real property bordering Old Ocean between Anna Street and Corinne Street as conforming lots of record under the residential single family estate district requirements for minimum lot size, lot width, and/or lot depth as applicable, creating a new subsection to provide specific development regulations for the identified 7 parcels of real property on Old Ocean Boulevard between Anna and Corinne Streets, and providing for codification, severability, conflicts, and an effective date.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
You're welcome. Need some water after this.
So this is sort of the second part of the ordinance we just discussed. With this one, 2023-04 on first reading, this is to address the issues that arose on the lots between Anna and Corinne Street, primarily the ones that are directly adjacent to the ocean on the east side. Again, what this does is to identify those lots as conforming and make them conforming so that they can be redeveloped, and to set forth specific redevelopment regulations to address issues that they now have as conforming lots. So if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
For motion.
Move to adopt ordinance number 2023-05.
Second.
Motion and second. Public comment. All right. Hearing none, back to the commission. Any other discussion?
I think everyone this is the first time you've been to a meeting concerning this. We've been going through this ad nauseum for 4 or 5 months, getting precise language. So the fact we're not discussing it doesn't mean we're not aware of every word that's in it.
I'm very happy with these last changes too, that we're not relying on the Florida statutes.
Great. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, number 11, consider the request from 106 Beachway Drive for reduction or discharge of the fine imposed by the special magistrate on September 5th, 2023. Lynn or Christie?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On September 5th, the community standards hearing was held regarding a violation of 106 Beachway Drive, section 66-151B6, tree pruning, hat racking method prohibited. The property owner was unavailable but sent a representative to the hearing to respond on their behalf. After hearing the case, the magistrate had the option of imposing a fine up to $5,000 if they found the party in violation of the code. The magistrate's decision, at the recommendation of the city attorney, was to impose a fine less than the maximum and set the fine at $2,500. The property owner is now seeking to have the commission reduce or discharge the imposed fine for their violation. The commission can approve or deny the request for discharge reduction, or they can approve the request for a reduction of the fine and by a majority vote determine a reduced fine that will be imposed.
Don't.
Okay.
Don't we have a third option?
You can approve it or deny it.
No, or return it to the original 5,000.
That would be a question.
I asked this
The
question
attorney.
already.
Mr. Mayor, as to Commissioner Claus's question, the 2,500 was what was imposed by the special magistrate. We cannot go higher than that.
Well, that's not what you told me in the staff meeting, because we're the ones that suggested going from 5 to 2,500.
At the hearing.
Right.
And because the maximum fine that can be imposed under code enforcement provisions in Florida statute for irreparable violation, with a hat racking is irreparable, is $5,000. So at the hearing, the representative who was present made an argument on behalf of the property owner that because this was their first code enforcement violation.
I listened to the whole meeting.
Right, that therefore they shouldn't be hit with the full $5,000. So I told the special magistrate that based on that argument from the representative, that I agreed that we would reduce the town's recommendation for the magistrate's ruling to 2,500. The magistrate then agreed and reduced it to 2,500. So I did also inform the representative at the hearing that I would recommend against any kind of further reduction because we really did give a reduced recommendation at the hearing.
Okay.
So I'm Chantal Gayet from 106 Beachway. I've been maintaining that tree for 12 years that's sitting on the easement of town. I require the town to maintain that tree and they cut it twice. And after they told them that their tree was under my responsibility, in the last 3 years, with COVID, I was like, the tree like didn't get trimmed. and one of the branch was broken. So when they look at the situation, they say it's a sea grape as long as you keep the tree above 6 feet, and we kept it at 8 feet, it will regrow. But I couldn't cut like half of the tree that was hanging and leaving the other side on my house. It's directly looking at my kitchen. My intention is to not cut tree, but view the situation, I did the best of, what was recommended. I brought picture, the tree is regrowing very fast. And I think this fine is a bit.
You guys want to take a look, and then by the way, I'm Rolly Garcia, and then I had a neighbor, and 62
He
Spanish.
was the one who was
Wait. What's your name and address for the record?
Rolly Garcia, 62 Spanish River Drive.
Okay.
I'm great meeting you. I never met you.
He was the one who represented me because I was I'm Canadian. I only come here.
He spoke at the magistrates meeting.
I did.
Yeah,
You
he's
were
the
a
one.
gem. You were incredible.
Thank you.
Not gonna work either.
So the tree is regrowing. I've been maintaining it. This tree cost me like between $800 and $1,000 a year to maintain the tree sitting on the property of, when they had the meeting, I had planted a little banana tree, and they said I was not supposed to, so I relocated to like the proper area. My goal is not to fight with the city, but you have to understand that I've been maintaining your tree for like 12 years at my cost.
Well, I don't think that's the issue. The issue was that it was cut down the way it was cut down.
Well, I had no choice. That's what was recommended to me. I never
By
liked
whom?
anything by my gardener because
Okay, so why aren't you going after the gardener? Or his insurance policy?
Like I'm gonna go to court against my gardener for like the fine. Like it's this thing is growing back. It's not like I didn't cut it down. I didn't want to kill it, but it was so big that when they had to remove the tree, I would have been left with half the tree.
Well,
If you take a look, actually, it's coming right back on it.
yeah, but I appreciate the fact that you guys come here to try this. But the fact remains that you hired somebody to cut down the tree, okay? Any landscape company, around knows there's certain things you have to do and how to cut down trees. That's it. That's absolutely one thing
I've
you.
been trying to find somebody to trim that tree for the last 2 years. Everybody say, I will do it, I will do it. They never come around. Why should I
You're
pay?
asking the
So-
town, but the town already has acquiesced to cut the fine in half. And they cut the fine in half for that type of way they cut down the tree. Whether or not, I sympathize with your plight, but the problem is it's the hiring of the person or the people who do the work that is the main problem. I mean,
So
you
the
get,
problem going forward is technically this is not my tree. It's sitting on, it's illegally.
well, technically,
sitting.
anything that's in the right of way, like grass and everything else, it is your responsibility to cut.
But usually, they ask me to remove my little banana tree because they say you cannot have a tree in the easement. Like, do you think today, if you impose that fine of me, I will ever touch that tree again? I will never.
Well, maybe
touch
you
that
could
tree
cut
again,
it, but next time cut it the way that's
No,
it's
like,
prescribed to cut the
honestly,
tree.
like, no, in case somebody find it improper when the tree is going back. So like for me, like it's fine, I'm gonna pay, but this tree is never gonna be touched like by me. So the city will have to maintain it.
In reality, also, I see, hey, $2,500, that's a lot of money. And then it's a tree is coming back. And then honestly, for me, I say the money is not an issue, it's the principle.
Well, the money is the issue because that's why you're here.
Well, yes, but
No.
not really. It's the principle that it's getting fined for $2,500. None of us actually.
If it was the issue, I would have never trimmed it every year. I've been trimming it every year. So like, it's okay if I don't trim it for like, then I will save money now, like, I'm gonna let it grow. And, I'm gonna save my $1,000 a year. Over 2.5 years, I will get paid back my fine.
Mm-hmm.
But that tree, technically, like if I'm fine, I don't think like, I don't want to risk it anymore. Like in case, there's a loophole I didn't understand, so it's gonna grow and sit the way it's wrong.
who's liable, I should ask a question as a curiosity, who's liable for, let's say the chief contracted gardener could do that, and something happened. Who's liable for that? The city, because it's city property. And then, I mean, I just wondering how. this
Who's
works.
liable is the contractor who's cutting the tree down. I
Well,
mean, I don't even understand what the question is.
well, if somebody get hurt there. Who
What's
would
that?
hurt? If somebody get hurt. The guy
Get
that
hurt
cut-
what? You mean the guy cut the
fall.
tree down?
The guy that follow, you know.
Well,
got
then,
busy,
I
get
mean, I'm
hurt,
not
get
an
dragged.
attorney, but if the guy who cut the tree down fell on your property,
Uh-huh.
then he would probably go after your property.
But it's
attorney.
not your property, right? It's not our property. It's the.
It is your property, you have to.
It is
No,
it's
it's
the
the
easement, right?
town's right of way,
That's the right
but
right of
it's
way,
your
but-
No, it's
responsibility.
not. So technically, I asked a legal, like, how many people, like, you know, it's an easement, the tree should not be there, okay? How many people, like, enforce, like, this thing should technically, according to, like, probably, like, Mrs. Code or what, it should be, like, relocated. It happened in other location of Ocean Ridge that you came across the same situation. And the city had to remove like these trees are sitting on the east,
Christie, you can give us your opinion, please, on the right of way, cutting the trees.
not right
Correct,
away,
but
but
the
relocation.
requirements for maintenance of landscaping in the right of way adjacent to your property is on the property owner. Now, in this case, there was testimony at the hearing that for 2 years, the town hired a certified arborist to trim the tree appropriately. And that was done.
At the town's expense?
At the town's expense,
But
exactly.
that was 5 years ago.
Anyway,
It's done twice.
anyway, let's not,
Yeah.
go ahead, Christie.
So, the requirement is for everybody. So if there are trees in front of your property that are technically in the right of way, you're required to maintain them, whether it's a sea grape tree or whether it's a palm tree with coconuts on it. You're required to maintain them, and if you don't maintain them, then we could come forward with another code enforcement action to appropriately maintain them. Under the landscape code, you are prohibited from hat racking, and you need to obtain a certified arborist to do your cuttings.
How many people in Ocean Ridge get a certified arborist to cut down? My neighbor in front, they cut down, like, I send picture the same way. Like, everybody's like, I'm a Canadian citizen. I come here, I ask my gardener, like, can you trim? So like the hurricane, can you trim my edge? Now you're gonna tell me, like, you know, you're not gonna consider like I'm a bad citizen and I should pay $2,500 every year. 2,500 because like, you know, at first they thought this tree was dead, and I knew it wasn't dead because I asked several people like what to deal with the situation that I was cutting it only half of it. And now like it's not dead. I'm showing you, and you still like gonna give me the fine of 2,500.
What's the pleasure of the commission?
I'm trying to, this is important, sorry, in the sense that to understand what the gravity, I mean, I think $2,500 is a heavy fine. So then I tried to understand why, right? And you're coming before us and not really telling us why it should be reduced.
Because
So wait a
I
minute,
think
let me
like.
finish, okay. Then when I heard that the town has paid for the arborist and paid to trim it.
Twice.
Twice in
And-
12 years.
And, the past couple years, when was it
No,
done?
5-6 years ago, after they say
That's
you're
the last time it was
responsible
done, 5-6 years ago? And you lived there that whole time?
for 12 years.
So you knew that the town, did you ever come to the town and ask whether or not, you could do this?
To do this,
Yeah.
I've been calling the town, even like the person when that
Who did you
happened,
talk to?
everything.
Who did you talk to?
Well, I called. I've been emailing this person that wrote me. He never answered me. Like the only like lady, I didn't know who to call anymore. Like the only lady that answered me, and I had that discussion with Lynn, whoever returned my call was Lynn Latner. The only person.
Before or after?
After. Like I'm coming here for a couple of weeks and then I leave. Like the only person at Town of Ocean Ridge that returns my call or answer my email is Lynn Latner.
I think what Ken's asking, were those conversations after you hat racked the tree?
Yes.
Okay.
But I tried to like call the person, but nobody ever calls me back.
that sounds unusual. But
Really?
I also heard you say earlier, and it just kind of keeps going over in my mind, that if we impose a fine on you, you're not going to take care of the tree anymore.
Well, you know what?
That's kind of threatening, and I don't,
No,
that's.
but it's like, you want me like to face the same situation when every time I trim the tree, I do it at the best of my knowledge. So like, it's kind of like, you know, nobody like could have like come and see me before like I received that paper like stuck on my door and say, hey, what happened? Can we discuss what happened to that tree? Like, you know, I just got like this notice, and by like, recommended courier, and I don't feel like I should be. I felt like, you know, they view me as a bad resident of Ocean Ridge.
It would have, okay, go ahead.
I have a point that I don't think's been made yet. You knew that you're not supposed to cut down the tree because you've been talking to the town for the last 12 years, and the town said it had to be an arborist, and the town came and did it. So you knew you were not allowed to do what you were about to do, and you went ahead and did it.
No.
That's my problem.
No, because the only reason is, you know, because I've been maintaining the tree, and my neighbor Julia Moreau said, it's on the city, ask them to maintain it. So I saw the previous girl and say they maintain it, and then at one point I came and it wasn't like maintained, and I'm like, what's going on? It's like, well, that like Mrs. Goodrow say this, you know, it's now the owner can. So then I tried to get like, you know, they cut it a bit, but then it was so big, and like I have crane going like next to my house for like construction at the end of the street. But honestly, like my goal is not to kill the tree. Like I feel like I found like I killed the tree. If I wanted to kill the tree, like this is not the goal. Like, you know, I should have like.
Who came up with the 8-foot?
It's in the guy showed me, it's in the Florida.
But so the gardener told you that it was 8
Yeah.
feet. Okay.
He said 6 feet. We like it's 8.5 feet, but like, you know.
So you wanted him to chop it down to 6 feet, and he said he couldn't do that?
No. The things say for a sea grave, to make sure that you don't kill a sea grave, it has to be above 6 feet. So like there was no point. I viewed that thing from my kitchen. So like, you know, like let's try to like make it grow as more as possible. Like this is what we did, but like, you know, the goal was not to like get a fine. The goal was to make sure like we get rid of like the bad branch and like the tree come back as equal.
Did
So
you
I
talk
get
to anyone at town hall before?
Like I said, every time I talk to town hall, the only person, and I send email, I can show you my email. They don't even reply to my email. They don't.
All right, does anybody want to make a motion?
And I can send Lynn the email that I sent. She knows because I wrote, Lynn, I told you. I called her, I said, nobody returns my email or my call. And then she's like, okay, let me come back to you.
I think you got the message on reality. The $2,500 fine is a lot of money, you know.
But our code is very clear about hat racking. And, you know, at any point, you could reach out to any one of us. Like I return calls immediately.
I'm a Canadian, I don't even.
But
know
you're a
how-
resident of Ocean Ridge.
Yeah, but like.
In this
city,
capacity.
I pay the taxes. I think that when I call somebody at Ocean Ridge, I pay the taxes like all of you. Somebody should at least return my call.
Well, you know, the
Or my
fine was
email.
$5,000. Let's not forget that. That is the fine. And the town did.
The town.
I'm told
Reduced it.
002. How many other fine like this did you give a resident in the year 2023?
Well, you had the town
No,
cut
but
down
I
the
probably
tree
is this the only
on their
like-
expense. So you got,
No,
Maybe we were kind
everybody
of breaking
did.
even.
Everybody did until they changed the thing. It's not only me. It's everybody had tree on the easement. Everybody who had tree on the easement had the same right that I did before. You changed the thing.
No,
So
what
we're
Jeff's
not-
saying
No.
is we've spent $3,000 trimming that tree.
Why you spend 3,000? No, because every time the city would
It
come and
cost
trim it.
$1,500 per, Lynn? $1,500 per
I believe
trim?
it was 1,400.
14.
You know what?
That's
I'm
me. So
So
sorry.
we're spending town money taking care of a tree that you're supposed to take care of. You don't like the way it looks.
But no, back then you were supposed to, but the thing is, I have a palm tree, now I'm gonna have I have a palm tree on that thing. When the city would trim it, it would not even clear my palm tree.
Mr.
Okay.
Mayor, if I may add, with any code enforcement case, like I mentioned, an irreparable violation, $5,000 is the max. And if you listen to the code enforcement hearing, the magistrate was very close to imposing the max because she's the magistrate for several jurisdictions, she's used to, in these cases of a severe hat racking, which this case was, that they impose the $5,000 max because it has both a deterrent effect on the property owner and also for the town at issue, because if that tree dies, we've lost a valuable resource for the town and might want to replace it. But based on the statements that were made by the representative, I agreed to reduce the recommendation since this was her first violation. Since I've been representing the town, we have never had a case of severe hat racking like this that has been brought through code enforcement. So yes, this is the first time we've gone after an irreparable violation, but it is standard. And I am both a special magistrate for Palm Beach County and I do code enforcement under jurisdiction. It is standard in hat racking that you go after the maximum fine for the reasons I stated. But since she doesn't have a prior history, I was agreeable to reducing it in half. And again, will state my recommendation that I don't recommend a further reduction. Thank you.
I'll make the motion then, if there's no more discussion.
Public comment.
Well, we gotta
Oh,
go, let's make
you
the
make
motion in a
first
second.
then. So I move that we keep the fine as reduced by the special magistrate at $2,500.
You guys know,
Motion-
$2,500.
hold on a second.
Anyway, okay,
Motion
I
and
don't wanna say
second.
nothing.
Any
Whatever
public
you guys wanna
comment?
do.
Any public comment?
Second.
We got seconds over here.
Oh, sorry.
Come on.
I just want to ask a question because I also.
You gotta state name and address for the record.
Carol Bessler, 5906 Old Ocean, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I have a lot of trees in the, on
Right away.
on the right of way. And every year, I pay a $75 permit fee, and then every time I cut, I'm supposed to call the town and let them know that I'm cutting and ask them how much I'm allowed to cut and where I'm allowed to cut. Is that still a code in our town? Because I've been paying that $75 fee every
Mr.
year.
Mayor, I believe that's for the dune trimmings.
The dune trimming, but I also have trees along Old
Yeah, I think
Ocean.
that's a dune though.
But
because-
it's only the dune?
Yeah, because I
Okay.
mean, like, most of us, not most, a lot of us have stuff that's in the right of way that we
Right.
pay our guys to cut
But then every time I cut, I'm supposed to inform the town
for the dune.
for the dune that I'm cutting and where I'm supposed to cut, so.
But that's a whole different, yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I was clear on what the town regulations were. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Any other public comment?
You did the right thing. You reduced the fine in half, and this is a deterrent for anyone else in the town. When the trees are these big, you need to just hire a professional arborist to take care of them. You did good.
Anybody, any other public comment?
I want to say thank you to you guys all for this service and all of that good stuff. And then we understand your position and all of that. We just say, come to you guys. We believe that it's really ridiculous expensive. You know what I mean? Just, hey, because she made the mistake, whatever. At the end of the day, she's been keeping the tree for many, many years. But anyway, whatever you guys decide doesn't matter. It's not going to break us anyway. Thank you for your service and everybody here, actually. All of you guys for this city. It's a beautiful city. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. All right, back to the commission. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Number 13, discussion regarding the ongoing contract with, number 12, set date for joint commission and planning and zoning board workshop. I think we should kind of put this off because we still haven't got a quorum or anything, or,
As of 5:30 this afternoon, we had 4 meeting dates and times where we had 5 people between the 2 combined boards that could attend, but no point in time where we would have the majority of the 2 boards available.
Was there some people that hadn't yet replied? Because you sent that out at like 3:00.
Yeah, there are some that haven't
So
replied.
we don't know the answer to not
Right.
having.
So I'm saying you might as well just go ahead and
You
keep
said
us informed.
Today's email, you mean?
After, yes, some
Okay.
people haven't replied to today's email.
All right, so just keep us informed. Keep sending us emails.
Well, I'll
Thank you.
tell you what, one thing to do is why don't you set a tentative time? And then see when I looked at that list, it was really strange to fill out that survey.
Yeah.
But, the 20th seemed to be the one that had the most availability.
Is that the Monday?
It's a Friday.
No, there's no.
No,
'cause I
that we
didn't
didn't,
fill
that
out
wasn't an
Friday.
option, because I know I'm not here
The
then.
last one just came out, I
It
think it was
wasn't
the
an option. There was
23rd.
6 people that said yes on that one.
What, the
The
20th?
20th.
I didn't see that
How about
today. I
that?
just looked at it tonight.
No.
I didn't see.
Started
6
with the
people.
23rd, the email we got
The
today.
one tonight, we did.
Oh, you
still-
did another one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
sent out another
Never
one.
mind.
Yeah,
I did
the-
an old one then.
There's 4 on the
I did another
23rd,
one. I didn't
Hey,
know
you did.
You got an old one.
You did the first one, Ken.
and there's 4 on the
and
30th.
We
Other than
we
that,
weren't able to get more than 5 before today. And then I sent out a new one this afternoon asking for additional feedback with additional dates and times available. And we had 3 days and times where there were 5 people available. As of,
So I just got an email from Doodle at 5:43. That's this program.
That would
Says
be-
final time booked, additional days. We have a.
yeah, no,
But is this
it
marketing
reopened. That
coming
was,
back in?
no, that was an accident on my part when I was trying to look at the times.
all right, so keep working on it.
Yeah.
All right? All right,
Why
next.
don't you narrow the dates? If you get it down to 3 dates, maybe reply to those 3 dates.
Yeah, she's got 2 at 4 right now, so let's see where we're going. All right, number 13, discussion regarding the ongoing contract with Blue Iguana Control. I thought we were
Why are we
already
having a discussion?
said, once we knew, give them the 30-day notice or whatever their notice is.
I actually know the answer to that question.
You do.
For the town attorney, who will correct me if I'm wrong, we voted the contract in, therefore we need to vote the contract out.
Okay,
Is that correct, Christie?
That is correct.
so is there a motion?
Would you like to know the termination terms?
I'd like to know how many iguanas we've got.
1868.
1868?
Divide that out.
Good year.
And we're giving Betty back her BB gun.
Per the contract with Blue Iguana, the most recent amendment reverts back to the first contract for termination. The termination clause reads, "The town reserves the right and may elect to terminate this contract at any time, with or without cause. At such time, the contractor would be compensated only for that work which has been satisfactorily completed to the date of termination. No compensation shall be paid for demobilization, takedown, disengagement, wind down, or other costs incurred due to the termination of the contract. The contractor may terminate this contract upon 30 days written notice to the town."
All right, is there a motion?
Yeah, it's, make a motion that we terminate the contract with Blue Iguana / Iguana Control.
I second.
Motion and second, public comment. Any discussion on lizards? Come on, Betty. We already promised you your BB gun back. What's that?
She wants to be.
Yeah, we'll get it back. Chief, make sure she gets her BB gun back. Oh, that's me. All right,
Mr.
back,
Mayor?
any more discussion?
If I may ask for clarification, I'm assuming it's termination immediately without cause?
Yes. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, number 14, discussion review of proposed submission requesting legislative appropriation of funds to assist with a project to place insertion valves in the water distribution system.
All right, you have in your packets, and then I handed out this evening, applications for local funding initiative requests. These are appropriations requests, one for the Florida House of Representatives, one for the Florida Senate. As you remember from our budget discussions, we are talking about potentially raising the valves in the water distribution system by putting a valve can extender and then a concrete collar. It doesn't raise the actual valve off the water line. What it does is it puts a extension onto the can that surrounds the valves in the water to make them more easily accessible. And then the concrete collar keeps them from being overgrown by people's grass and different things like that as they mow. We would also be placing additional insertion valves throughout the system in areas where there are not an adequate number of shut-off valves along the distribution line, so that in the case of emergency line breaks or leaks or any construction, we can more readily shut off the system without significantly impacting large periods of the community. Right now, in some areas, when we turn off the water, it turns off the entire island. That's in the Spanish River area.
Sable Island.
Sable Island area. When we turn off the valves to turn off water for just a small area of that, we have to turn off all the properties on the island due to where the location of the valves are.
Okay. Is there a motion?
There's nothing to.
What are we,
Approve submitting these to the Florida House and the Florida Senate for consideration for legislative appropriation.
Second.
Motion and second. Any public comment? Okay. Back to the commission. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Lynn.
You're welcome.
Good luck for our town.
Mhm.
All right, 15 Veterans Day. Now, still the reason that to answer your question, any time the town is going to expend funds or have employees work, it has to be discussed by the whole commission. You can't just set something up without commission. It's like the Christmas or any other function the town has. It has to be discussed amongst the commissioners and then set an effective date for it. So by just setting it up is, and the other thing is that the date is the date it's on is the date that the employees have off. So you're asking employees to come in on their day off and work at the town. Now, as I am understanding it, most of the employees are not in favor of doing that, even getting time and a half. So having said that, Lynn actually had an idea that to have it maybe that Monday, because the following Monday is at the town commission meeting, maybe have it prior to the town commission meeting. I mean, it was just an idea. But do you guys have any input?
No, I like that idea. Lynn explained that concept to me, and she made a very good point, by the way. So people realize that our staff still loves the town, but in other communities where the staff does come in on that holiday to do this type of thing, they actually live in the community. So it's a community event for them. In our particular case, we don't have any staff members that live in town. So they might be doing something in their community on that day that they prefer to be with.
Or with their families, or a multitude of other things. So anyway, any other?
What's the staff involved in this? I thought it was the organization doing it. What's the?
This would be as it was proposed by Starbright, a split event between the town, the police support group, and Starbright. The police would be doing a cookout. Obviously, we would have to be bringing in additional officers because the officers that are assigned to duty that day would not be able to be manning the grill. Staff would be here to assist with the programming. In the past, my understanding, the town manager and the city clerk were the ones that for the majority of that responsibility, making sure that the building was open, making sure things got set up, making sure things got cleaned up, different things like that. But an event this size with a community picnic, we would need additional staff. Also looking at, it is a holiday, though the town manager and the city clerk coming in, we aren't getting paid overtime, we are losing that holiday off. So there would need to be some sort of compensation, which hasn't been considered in the past. Town manager and the town clerk have just come in and given up their day off for it. In discussions with the town hall staff, the town clerk spoke to several of the front office staff, and they were not interested in giving up their holiday, even if it was paid. And if it were paid, it would need to be at time and a half because it is a legal holiday. The police department, we struggle with our overtime costs as it is there. And so I don't know if Scott's had an opportunity to speak to his officers, but I don't know how many of them would be willing to volunteer for the additional. Plus, a month later, we will be putting on Light the Lights, where there will be additional staff that will be staying late, that will be involved, and there is cost associated with that. So you're looking at two events, 2 months back to back. This really came up after we had met with Commissioner Cassidy and Commissioner Khalil and met with Stella on Friday. As Christie was talking about it.
You met with me
No,
about this?
she didn't.
No, after,
Oh,
after
after the
we-
fact. Oh,
it came
okay.
up after.
Yeah, I was like, what? You asked all these questions, you really?
I didn't know.
No. We met with Stella after we met with the two commissioners, before we met with the other commissioners. And at that time, we were discussing when Commissioner Kaz and when Mayor Pugh came in, we were trying to bounce off alternatives so that the employees would not have to come in on their holiday, that we would not incur additional significant costs. And one of the ideas that I came up with, our commission meeting is the Monday before Veterans Day. We could start the event at 4:30. Go ahead and do the event as planned with an end time of 6 o'clock, which is when the commission meetings start. That still gives us an hour and a half. We can do a cookout if we want. We could also do just cookies and beverages before the meeting, something smaller scale. Still do the honor guard, still do a vocalist performing the Star Spangled Banner, still do recognition of the veterans in our community. We would be recognizing veterans, we would be recognizing Veterans Day, but we would not be enduring significant overtime costs from the staff. That was the option that seemed to be a good middle ground.
I don't have a problem with the, having the event, it's a day itself. That day is just the wrong day to have that on when everybody else is off. I mean, you're gonna have to park in the park over here. And what do you think's gonna happen with the park on Veterans Day on a Friday when everybody's off? That place is gonna be jammed with people. I mean, you're just not, there's gonna be nowhere to park, so come on up, so. So I'm just saying, if you guys had maybe planned a day other than the actual national holiday.
By the way, it's the Monday of the weekend, or is it the Monday of the weekend previous?
It's the Monday of the weekend previous, so
Okay, so first of all, when I didn't realize that you all needed to approve Veterans Day affair. This has been done before, and I never knew that anyone here had to approve it. It was done through the town manager, with cooperation with the police department. And at that point, the garden club was doing it. And I did the affairs for them. So I am going to take this back and say, I've spoken to Lynn prior to me leaving, so that was in April, and to Kelly, and they're the ones that set up, actually Lynn was the one that set up the 10th, that these people were going to be off. The town hall would be closed, so that was not my original date. Starbright said we would do it 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 in the cost, and we would do all the preparations. We really don't need the maintenance people here that day or any other day to set up the tables or to do the garbage or to do the setup and breakdowns, because all the girls will be doing that. And I believe I did tell Lynn that. So that would be saving that. Now, as far as the police chief, well, the police always did it. If they don't want to do it or if they don't have the capacity to do it, then I think that's something that can be talked about. If you want to do it when prior to, now another thing that the mayor said is that, a lot of these people who are in the town, this is not their community. They don't live here, or Steve said that, whoever. This is not for the whole town people here who are working here. This is for the residents of Ocean Ridge. This is our community. We were opening this up to have camaraderie, you know, to have nice feelings with people, to have a hamburger with someone, you know, talk. This was supposed to be a social event that was supposed to be bringing the community together. If you wanted to do this at the date that you now propose, I'd have to go back to Starbright and see if we were interested. Because talking to VFW, getting color guards, there's been a lot of preparations, which is okay. We can stop those preparations. There's been a lot of things purchased that are not being charged to the town or to the police. But I'm thrown for a loop because this is not what I had discussed with Lynn at all. So that's where I am at this.
Well, I'm sorry that happened, but
No, it's okay.
I'm just telling you that, when was it? Thursday?
No problem.
What's that, Friday?
Friday.
Friday. Here's my thing. Hand it to me. Okay, so what's this?
I know. And,
You know,
and
so-
I said to Lynn, why are you doing your knee the day before? I says, well, you better talk to Jeff because he's going to have to welcome the people.
Well, my biggest thing really was about
So-
the safety of like I said, it's on a day that literally that beach is gonna be packed. And the traffic's going up and down here. You're gonna have the police department sitting out there, watching people walking back and forth because you're gonna be parking over there, if you can even get a spot over there. So that's the first thing I thought of when I read the thing. Said it can't be on a national holiday. It has to be on a different day. That's all I was saying. But then again, that's the whole point of this discussion, is we should have had it like you said, 2 months ago, and then really figured it out.
And last time we had done it, it had been on literally Veterans Day, which was the day off, which the families are off, the kids could come. Like we had an ice cream social here for the Starbright, and we had about 70 people come for free ice cream. It was lovely. And it was a day that everybody was off. So parents could come with their kids. I mean, this is totally up to you. I'm not pushing down anything down anybody's throat. And you don't have to feel bad, you know, for any preparations that were done, but I would have to go back and talk to my group and see if they are still interested in doing this.
And you should definitely talk to Lynn to solidify exactly what Lynn's
Well,
offering.
I thought we had done that. I'm
Right, but
very
if
disappointed
this
that
moves to
this is
Monday.
turning out this way.
Right, so you gotta know what's available to you before you.
Well, see what you can do.
And I will tell you that when we discussed this last spring, I was not aware of the staff's lack of interest in participating on their day off. And that's where it has come up, and it came up after you were here on Friday, Stella,
Okay.
that the staff is pushing back on giving up their day off to
But
man a
can you blame
community
them?
event that they're.
Can you blame them? I know,
No.
No, I'm not.
So I'm just saying-
I'm not blaming
so if you
anybody.
just come up with talk over with Lynn and see if you guys can come up with a different date, and then you can contact us all and we can do this a different way.
Well,
All
yeah,
right.
okay. All right, thanks.
You're welcome. All right, so town manager report.
Sorry, I had to get back to that. September went by quick. Won't really rehash it. My report is in there. Things to keep in mind as we go into October. NPDES will be here for their audit in October. And that's very important.
What NPDES?
A National Pollution Discharge Environmental Safety. It's a permit, it's a stormwater discharge permit that we're required to have. And they are here on the 27th, yeah, the morning of the 27th of October. The week prior to that, on Thursday, the 19th, The town of Ocean Ridge is hosting the Palm Beach County Clerks Association for a luncheon here, and town clerk Kelly Avery will be sworn in at that point as the new president of the County Clerks Association for a year. And then.
What day is that?
That is Thursday the
Thursday.
19th.
Crash?
Well, we're invited.
Yeah, we're invited.
Here it is.
You got the
You're
invitation.
invited.
You have to wear a costume though.
We'll be a lawyer.
Come as I am.
In addition to the NPEDS permit audit on the 27th, the town will also on October 27th be hosting the Palm Beach County City and County Managers Association luncheon here. So you are all invited to that. That is something that has just come up in the last week and a half. The community that had scheduled for October had to drop out, and we had been planning to do it later in the fiscal year. They asked if we could do October. This way we get to reuse the decorations that they're getting for the clerks conference, and we'll be able to save. And as I said, Commissioner, you are welcome to join us that day as well. Still working on the speaker for that, so if you've got any ideas or great things that we're doing here is that maybe they're not doing in other communities, I'd love to hear the ideas. And we've got a new employee as of today. He seems to be fitting in very well. I think the police department did a very good job with the new hire, and the new promotions, I think, are going to be well suited for the department, and they will do a very good job for us. That's all I have.
Thank you. Any questions for Lynn? All right, Christie?
Your report, thank you.
No. Thank you.
Great report. I'm gonna tell you.
No report. All right, Chief.
My report's in your packet. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. We already talked about the beach signs. We had 3 violations for 3 properties, and notice has been sent out. Your request for dog violations on the beach, officers encountered 6 service animals and 5 non-service animals that they verbally warned to get removed off the beach for last month.
Good deal.
For September, and my report is from August.
So you gave them verbal warnings?
The officers elected to give the violations verbal warnings to remove the dog.
Okay. And if they see him again, same person?
I would hope that maybe it would be an enhancement in enforcement to a written warning and then to violation.
Okay.
Take a photo of the dog.
What if it's a written?
We're gonna have like a board up in the.
The letter's, well, certified, is that the idea?
Yes.
Public comment?
Just quick. Victor Martello, 46 Harbor Drive South. How are we, this is something that we know a lot about, how are we determining service animals? Just by them telling them?
They can only ask question, is this dog a service animal and what service does it provide? That's the only 2 questions.
Correct, but then they're giving you the answer of what service it provides, because there's very few service animals in this town.
Yes, we have done extensive training on what animals are allowed, or what services.
It's supposed to be on a leash.
Correction, it doesn't necessarily.
It can be voice control as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But service animals have to perform a task, so.
But we cannot, they do not have to perform that task for us.
Oh, no, I agree with that 100%. My son has one, as you know, so it's something that.
Well, his dogs are always unleashed and voice controlled, right?
And they do have to be unleashed.
That's right.
Thank you. Anything else, Chief?
No.
All right, great. All right, Phil, do you have a statement?
Yes, unfortunately, I'm going to be resigning in December, and for personal reasons. And if the commission wants to appoint somebody before December, I'll be happy to just walk away. So I'd like to thank everybody, the residents, Lynn, commission, mayors, for all the support I had during my tenure. So thank you.
Thank you. We want to keep you through December.
Yeah, are you clapping because I'm leaving?
No.
Well, are you one of the positions that's listed on the entry of the agenda today? You said there's 3 positions on the agenda.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
you're one of those positions?
Yes.
And which ones are you? For 2 years, 3 years, 1 year?
Oh, no, I had to get reelected in March, right?
As he was appointed in April to fill one of the 2 vacancies, I don't remember if they clarified which commissioner
They did, but-
was replacing which
Jeff, I know it's 3
resignee.
years, right?
Yes.
No, it's coming up.
Yeah. So who's the other 3 year?
I think I am. It's either 3 or 2. I don't know which one. I
So
was-
his
Yeah, no, I think
position
you're
is only
correct.
for the 2-year period.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was trying to get clear.
Did you get it? Is it clear now?
Yeah, but I thought we all
I think it's
had
still
to be
kind of-
reelected.
Yes,
So what does it matter? if
because
it's
one
two?
is only
people
running
on the
for a
ballot.
2-year term.
Yeah.
Oh, I got it.
And the other 2 are running for a typical
Mr.
3-year
Mayor,
term,
the
just to
way
keep
that
her.
it will work in the election is there's the 3 open positions. And it's based on whoever gets the most votes as to who serves the longer terms. And that's set forth in the
Is
charter.
that the way it works?
Yes, it's set forth in the charter.
So you don't go for a particular position?
Oh. There you go.
Commissioner.
Well, since we're on the topic, we might as well discuss this, because Christie sent out a memo a while ago, back in June. I said I wasn't going to be past December as well. So I think we should talk about so we don't get ourselves in a position where we're down to 3 commissioners again, because I think that was very dangerous for the town at that time, because it only took one other one to go out, and we don't have a commission anymore. So I think we ought to think about how are we going to replace, or how is the commission going to replace the 2 vacancies upcoming? I don't think it's a good idea to let them go just with 3 commissioners. So I think whether you want to go back to the list that you had, which may be a good idea, and see of those candidates that want to fulfill the term. But I think it has to be addressed. Christie sent out a memo, a month ago, saying, and I agree with, we can't leave the town in that type of position that it was left in back in May. I think that was a very dangerous situation to be in due to what could happen if you're down to 2. So,
But you're staying till December. Bill has said he will stay till December unless we
Correct.
appoint. So the commission has over 60 days in which we can tell people can show
I
letter of
think-
interest,
yeah,
et cetera,
but
et cetera.
in fairness to the town, right, and in fairness to those individuals, I think it's a good idea to do it sooner rather
Yeah.
than later. I mean, although, and that's great that Phil's willing to stay, I was willing to stay till December.
Right.
But at the same time, the sooner that somebody can get acclimated, we got through the budget season, we got through some of this stuff that we needed to get through, that would have been very, a little bit problematic for somebody that's fresh.
But as long as we appoint for January, February, March, we're okay. So we have a 60-day window here where the residents that are interested would approach us.
Okay, that's how you want to do it.
Well, you want to put it on the agenda for December to actually make that a decision.
But
we should have put it on the agenda for November, and also have another discussion regarding it as well.
Yeah.
And see if we have had what kind of folks.
So when you have December comes, you have somebody,
You have,
you have
yeah,
people to,
But it should also be sent out by Kim to all the residents.
correct.
Yeah.
or you
The
just go back
usual-
to the list that you had and go down that list. Since those, you already have an indication of people that have been willing to do that at the time, so this is nothing more than another qualification, so anyway, take it for what it's worth.
All right, so
I think we.
you're going, so to clarify, so you'll be here through December?
Not through December, because I have to do it before the end of December.
Well, December 30th.
But I mean, you'll be here December meeting.
Yes, I can be.
Okay. I
But
just
like
don't-
Phil, if it's the commission's pleasure to do it sooner, that's fine too.
Well, in your case, we might agree, but not Phil.
And that's fine too. That's okay.
All right,
Mr. Mayor,
Karen,
If the commission could give some direction, do you want to go back to the previous list? Do you want the town to start accepting resumes and letters of interest so that
Both.
town staff knows how to proceed?
can you just give us a list again? And
And
then send out what is the civic ready deal?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Carolyn?
Yeah, and I mean,
No, I'm saying Carolyn, you're up.
oh, I'm up, okay, sorry. Just a brief summary, in addition to the state appropriation that we're seeking for assistance with the water valve project, we also have grant applications in, one with Resilient Florida through the DEP for a seawall and valve project on Hudson. We also have an application in with FERDAP, which is the Florida Recreation Development Assistance Program for land acquisition to assist in flooding and preservation of land. And then we will be working on FCT, which is the Florida Communities Trust, also part of DEP, where we can get theoretically, hopefully get reimbursement for land already purchased. So the Priest property, we could be eligible to get money back for that.
Right, up to potentially 50% of.
I thought it was more than that, but.
No.
Okay.
Wow, well, that's great.
Yeah.
Really great.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep, and Ryan Ruskay has been helping us with this.
Anything else?
Can I ask you a question? What's the Hudson seawall? Is it gonna be
Go ahead.
made
Ron.
higher or?
It
There isn't
currently,
one.
it currently
There
is a
isn't one.
Oh, there
riprap.
isn't one.
No.
No, it's
It
currently
is.
riprap.
You should
It
drive
is
down there
riprap.
around
It is
midday
storm.
tomorrow and see if the water is all the way
With my
up
boat?
to Mark Marsh's
Yeah.
house. Yeah.
But it has to be done in conjunction with the retention pond.
Yeah, and
Not
outflow.
only-
Because most of the water comes through the mangroves from the north onto Hudson, not over the sea.
Well, it goes with that riprap, because I mean, literally, you
It
can
does
walk
go
on that
up, yeah.
riprap,
But
but you're in.
Go down there
your
during a
ankles are
big
wet.
storm. You'd be amazed how
Or
much
just
water's come.
this tide, yeah.
Sure.
It's a river.
Okay. All right, thank you, everyone. Meeting's adjourned.
Thank you.